Hi y'all. As you can all see, this is not Phil the Learn to Grow guy. Boy, do I have a story to tell you all, and pardon my French accent. We are currently in Canada, and we have a special guest for you today. And our special guest is Criminal Phil, the Learn to Grow guy. Yes, I said it. Criminal Phil, the Learn to Grow guy. So, Criminal Phil, if you'd like to join us, we'll be very happy to have you sitting by us.
Could you please take the cuffs off me?
Cuffs out. So, Phil, welcome to Canada.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you so much.
It's
Appreciate
a
that.
pleasure. It's always an honor to receive a criminal here in Canada. So, Phil, can you explain us how you got the title criminal in Criminal Phil, the Learn to Grow guy?
Okay. Well, before we get started, everybody, this is my cousin Patrick up in Canada who does all the editing. He does an excellent job at it, okay? Just so that you guys understand, I think he deserves a good round of applause. Okay, now, Patrick and I, we lost an aunt up here in Canada. And my whole thing was to come up here to do, to participate in the funeral and stuff like that. So, what happened is that I left out of Tennessee. What day was that? Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah, I think it was Wednesday,
Yeah.
last Wednesday, and I drove all the way up here. And believe it or not, when I got to the border, I actually I stopped at the border for the appropriate checks. And next thing I know is that they tell me that I'm under arrest. I'm like, what? So I was told that I was under arrest. You ready for this? For bringing magazines across the border. And what would you say? What kind of magazines would you think it is?
We
What?
thought it was Sports Illustrated, Vogue magazines, or other kind of magazine, if you see what I mean. But what were the magazines that they were talking about, Phil?
Well, those were large capacity magazines, and I'm not talking about like from Al Bundy's, big ones or stuff like that. Okay. Now I had magazines. I got arrested for two magazines, and the magazines were two Sig and Sauer high capacity magazines that held 17 rounds each, and so I got arrested for that. Okay.
So can you explain us how the whole process went? Like, you drove from your location in Tennessee up to the Canadian border, and then, like you said, you got arrested. So can you explain us what happened when when they arrested you?
Okay. Basically, the lady at the window says that, first of all, I passed the stop sign or the red lights that she had at the border, and I didn't realize this was my first time crossing the border coming over to Canada. Okay, at least in the past I flew in, so I missed all that, and I came up. The lady was not very happy with me at all. So she asked me, "Do you have any?" She asked me, "Do you have anything that you could use to defend yourself?" And she ran through a list, and I'm thinking, nope. Everything she was saying, the answer was no. And so I thought that was pretty much it. So she asked me to pull over. So I pulled over into this area and stuff like that. And that's where she started searching. And it wasn't her searching. She found a magazine that I kept at the door. Now, y'all, you got to remember that I live on 40 plus acres, okay? And there has been, neighbors told me about bears, black bears in the area. We've seen wild pigs. We've seen bobcats. We've seen several, packs of dogs that I didn't want to do any harm to, and so therefore my viewpoint is that I need to make sure that I'm able to protect myself. It's not necessarily against the two-legged, but it's the multi-legged ones that I've been primarily concerned of.
Birds have two legs.
Yeah. So, like I said, she started searching and she found the first magazine in the door, and so they came out. Her partner came out, and they decided to search the car, and so ultimately they said, "You're under arrest. Put your hands behind your back." And I told them I had a bad shoulder, which I did. I had surgery on my right shoulder, and then with the left shoulder. I've been experiencing pains in it, so they were actually very kind, and they were actually decent folks. Okay, so he didn't cuff me, so he had me hold my thumb like this behind my back, and I did that, and he searched my pockets. I felt like a little punk when he was, putting that, touching the pockets and stuff like that. I'm like, I feel like a little punk, man. I feel like I was punked. But anyway, that was pretty much there at that point, and then they read me my what you would called Miranda rights and such, and they'll tell me that I had the right to remain silent. It's pretty much like they do in the U.S.
In the U.S., okay.
Yeah. So it was like, had the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law and stuff like that. And then they took me in and they put me in a cell. Yeah. I mean, it's not the one you have bars and get a still company out. Hey, warden. No, it's not that kind. It's the kind that's where it's a room. And the good thing is I was by myself, so I didn't have to worry about anybody trying to take anything from me. You know what I'm saying? So they had me in that cell, they locked the door and everything, and I'm like, man, I don't believe this. So I started praying, saying, God, you know the reason why you're allowing this to happen. So either way it goes, Father, it's in your hands. So a little bit later, I asked, I called back to them. I'm like, hey, So they came in and says, what do you need? I said, just go over here. Can I get a blanket? Because I had short sleeve shirt on. Yeah. And so they gave me a blanket, and I used that. I asked them if I could lay on the table, try to take a nap while they did what they were going to do. And they said, no, you got to sit on the bench. So I laid on the bench, and I tried to take a nap there. And while I'm laying there, I'm thinking, maybe I should sing Jailhouse Rock.
So once did they give you the blanket and all that stuff? Like, did they ask you any questions? Like, what happened? Like, was there an interrogation that was done toward you?
All they wanted to know was if I had anything else that they would testify as something illegal for me to bring across the border. Okay. So I'm like, I don't know what you mean. So I had a watermelon in the back of the car. So I'm like, is a watermelon okay? And they said, yes, that's not a problem. That's okay. And so I said, what about motor oil? Because I got motor oil in the back of the car just in case too.
Well, they could have thought that it's maple syrup that you put in motor.
Yeah. Can you imagine that? I'm trying to sneak in maple syrup across the border to Canada, right? The place that is the mother of all maple syrup. Yeah.
So did they find anything else than the magazines?
Yeah, they found another box of bullets. And I also had some loose bullets in in my door, and so that's what they found and such. But you know what the funny thing is? The funny thing is that they emptied out the magazines and they gave me a bag of my bullets. They gave me all my bullets back.
That's something I do not understand.
Yeah, can you imagine that? Me, the guy who's supposed to be coming here to start a revolution, they take the magazines, but they give me the bullets anyway.
Exactly. Sometimes Canadians, we do things upside down. But so is there a lesson that you have learned or any warnings or advices that you would like to give to the audience that are watching the video right now?
Okay. If you live on acreage and you carry a weapon with you, if you live in a state where you can actually open carry, if you're leaving your home state to go either to another state or or out of the country, my recommendation is within the United States, make sure you separate your guns from your ammo and stuff like that. Put that stuff away so that you do not have immediate access, of it from from your particular seat. Okay. Now, if you're leaving to come to another country like Canada, I can't speak on Mexico. I've not crossed the border to go to Mexico on my own as of yet. My recommendation to you is make sure you go through your vehicle. Make sure that all guns are. Make sure that all guns are taken out of there, all ammunition is taken out of there, and especially magazines. It's a pain in the tush to have to go back and try to buy some other high capacity magazines. So make sure that everything is cleared out. Just make sure and well, I don't do drugs, so it don't really matter. So, yeah.
So now you passed the border. You're in Canada. What are your impressions of the country?
To me, it's sort of like. I think I mentioned that to you. As we drove through some of the highways, that reminded me of highways in Chicago. And a lot of the homes, it's like they're like suburban Chicago, and there's a few that's like homes you may find in the city itself, in the city of Chicago itself. Now, I know that I don't live in Chicago anymore, but for those of you who are not aware, I did used to live in Chicago for many years, before I moved to Tennessee.
And what would you say about the way that Canadians interact with people from other countries, from the U.S., like
I
you?
think they're welcoming folks. I think they're solid, decent folk. Pretty much like I'd say in the South, where people actually they say hello, they do speak to you. So yeah, yeah.
So, would you recommend people to come to Canada?
I wouldn't see why not. I wouldn't see why not. I mean, just keep your guns and your magazines at home.
After that, everybody's welcome.
Yeah. Keep your magazine, and I'm not referring to the, to the girly magazines or whatever, But yeah.
Excellent. So, Philippe, it was a privilege and an honor to have you here in Canada. Well, and you're always welcome. Just make sure that you do not bring your magazines, besides Sports Illustrated. so before we end out, you've noticed some fields, right? Some agricultural field. We saw yesterday there was a place where there were zucchini. Do you see that people are interested in doing gardening here in Canada as much as you are doing in the United States and other places in like Tennessee, for example?
Okay, I've not seen too many people's gardens and stuff like that. I think the garden we saw yesterday was when we went to the mall, out there and stuff like that. And in that particular mall, they had a full garden space where they had a lot. Well, first of all, they had a lot of restaurants there. I mean, they were growing at least 2 different kinds of kales, tomatoes. They had edible flowers. They had what was that? Artichokes.
Yes.
Yeah, artichokes growing there. They had so many different things growing there. But I thought that was a fabulous idea as to how to use empty space. And so therefore, for those of you who do not have land, and like my cousin Shirley, this is for you, baby. For those of you who do not have land, I would recommend what is called guerrilla gardening, meaning that you get to garden on property that's not yours. It could belong to the local government, as to where you can go far from the road, at least 80, so that salt sprays or anything that would be applying to the roads the mist does not come to where you're trying to grow your food at. And there's that. You could also ask people who have open fields and such, so that they're able to, and find out whether or not they're able to let you utilize the land, so that you can grow the garden and such. Okay, and that's what I would recommend based on that model we saw yesterday. This is in a place where they do shopping and things of that nature, and I mean, it was beautiful looking. It was beautiful looking.
The colors, the way it was placed, everything was placed.
All the variety of different, since that was tomatoes, got to say fruits and vegetables.
It's true. So thank you very much, Phil. So you do have a criminal record now here in Canada. You're gonna be in the file for the next 7 years. So every time you're gonna come, they're gonna check you out. So thank you again, Phil.
Well, one last thing. And by the way, y'all, this is for y'all. Okay. They ended up not pressing charges. Okay, they ended up not pressing charges. I'd imagine that they looked up to see where I lived at and such, and they probably noticed that I lived in a big, wooded area and such. So that was probably the thing.
Yeah.
But they did not press charges, and so they actually let me go with a nice fine of $500 for carrying 2 magazines.
How much again?
$500.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear how much.
500 Canadian dollars, baby.
Which an American probably makes $300.
Yeah,
so.
380, something like that. Yeah, whatever that translates out to. Yeah,
okay, thank you again, Phil.
No, thank you, Patrick.
Like I said, you're always welcome here. You know how much I love you, Philippe.
Yeah,
you know that.
I think it's mutual. Okay?
Oh yeah.
I think it's mutual.
Thank you.
And again, here's the guy who does the editing. I think he does such a fabulous job.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome, Phil. You're welcome.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Yeah.
Oh, and also please, how you said for the notification bell? How does that work?
Oh yeah. Turn on the bell so you can know every time we're uploading a new video.
Yes.
So you'll be the first to watch it.
Yes. Okay. All right, y'all. Take care. Blessings.